If you're at the point in life where you've simply had enough of work, or maybe you've got some decisions to make about working, maybe children have left home, you've downsized your house, or you're reaching pension age, then one of the questions you might be asking yourself now is it really worth working? Have you considered the costs of working? Even if you have a very small commute, or better still walk to work, there are still many associated costs. In certain scenarios, your job could cost you more in financial terms than it's actually worth. That healthy salary could soon get whittled away in hidden bills. Sit down and do the maths yourself and let me know in the comments below how it all stacks up for you. Here are 5 things you might want to consider. Firstly, commuting. The cost of commuting by train has grown year on year, and for some people, especially in the south, it now constitutes a major sacrifice from any salary, frequently running into several £1000s. The alternative is usually driving. Even if for a short distance though, this has a hidden cost. Cars need fuel, they need regular servicing, taxing and MOTs. For the average motorist, before they even take the car off the driveway, it is still going to cost them around £30 per week just to leave it sitting there. And that's before the cost of buying it and the depreciation has been taken into account. And even worse, in 2-car families where only 1 car is used outside commuting, the costs stack up even further. If you are driving, then fuel will be a big consideration, and I want to spend a minute or two going through the costs of fuel with you and what it means in financial terms, because I think you're going to be astonished by this. Firstly, let's say I've already earned up to my tax threshold, and let's face it, most people in the UK anyway earn up to their tax threshold. On top of that, every £100 I earn attracts national insurance at 12% and income tax at 20%. So for every £100, I'm left with £68. If I then buy 20 litres of fuel, which isn't a lot really, that's not going to get you that far, at £1.50 a litre, that adds up to £30. So out of that £30, the government takes 53 pence for every single litre in fuel duty, and it also charges VAT at 20%. And that includes on the fuel duty, so that's a tax on a tax. So out of that £30 of fuel, I pay £6 in VAT to the government and £10.60 in fuel duty also to the government. So let's go back to my £100. The government took £32 before I got the money, and then a further £16.60 after I got it towards my fuel. That's a total of £48.60 in taxes. So once the fuel's used up, I'm left with £38 in cash. Now, I know the true cost of fuel is spread over the untaxed portion of my earnings as well. And the more you earn, the more the cost is diluted. However, if you think about it just on that £100, the government's done nothing at all and they get £48.60 of it. And if I didn't have to go to work, I wouldn't have needed the fuel in the first place. Secondly, consider childcare costs. Like commuting, this cost doesn't apply to everyone, but to those it does, they will not be shy about letting you know what a burden it is. Not just in terms of the actual cost of childcare, but in getting children to childcare facilities or carers' houses, picking them up on time or facing overrun costs, and making emergency provisions for them when they're ill. Even taking grants and allowances into consideration, childcare costs for those who need them are likely to run into several £1000s a year. And then as children get older, days taken off to care for sick children, etc., or to cover for inset days or more recently strikes, also frequently have to come either out of the parent's salary or from their leave entitlement. For these reasons, lots of working adults actually dread the 6-week break. Thirdly, let's look at clothing. Does your company supply workwear, uniform or clothing? If not, then dressing appropriately can run into several £100s per year too. And let's face it, who wants to wear work clothes when they're going out? So the clothes you buy for work are rarely used for anything else. This is especially true where company policy dictates the wearing of certain colours and styles. Even though the employer won't pay for the uniform, they quite often insist on what you're wearing. People working in sectors such as hospitality, for instance, can end up with half a wardrobe full of black clothes and comfortable shoes. Many small employers say they simply can't afford to contribute towards the cost and leave employees to conform from their own pocket, which comes out of your salary. Let's look at food then. If you're not disciplined enough to make a packed meal each day, and let's face it, who really is, then buying food out on a daily basis can become expensive. I know everyone has to buy food anyway, however, a sandwich made at home is always going to represent only a fraction of the cost of the one you buy in a sandwich shop or deli, or even a supermarket, even if it's part of a meal deal. A sit-down meal at lunchtime once a week or once a fortnight could leave you counting more than just the cost of the calories and cost you half your food budget for the entire week if you're not careful. If you have a long commute home or you work long or unsociable hours, then the cost of feeding yourself can also follow yourself home too. Who really wants to make a meal from scratch at 7 p.m. at night after a long day? Not me, that's for sure. Without discipline, you could actually do what I sometimes do and find myself eating midweek takeaways and shop-bought ready meals. Finally, let's consider paying others. Having more time is probably something you've always considered and dreamed of, but you may not have considered the financial cost of not having that time in the first place. Think about it this way. How many hours do you have to work to earn enough money to pay someone to do a job that you could do yourself in half an hour? How many hours do you have to work, for instance, to pay a handyman to fix a dripping tap or carry out simple repairs to your car, such as changing the wiper blades or replacing a blown bulb? After a hard day's work, be honest with yourself, can you even be bothered to wash and hoover out your own car, or do you take it down the town? You could spend the entire day working to pay someone else to do jobs that you could do yourself in very little time. Effectively, you could be working 5 or 6 hours some day to pay other people. So let's work it out. If you get paid £15 an hour and have to work 5 hours to pay the plumber to fit a £2 washer on a tap for you, you could either have done it yourself and took half the day off, or you've just paid a random plumber £75 an hour to do it for you. No wonder they've got nice vans. Finally, you have to consider your own time. Your own time doesn't really cost anything if you have plenty of it at your disposal, and you'll work for yourself for free all your life. However, as we've already seen, if you're working for somebody else, then it does have a cost. Everyone should try to take a few minutes out periodically to review their work arrangements. If you don't have the time for leisure and the pursuit of your own happiness, then perhaps it's time to reflect on all the things you're missing out on. If later you don't have enough money, you can always cut your costs or try and get some more, but you can't get more time if you run out of that. Let me know in the comments below how much it costs you. Do the maths yourself. How much does it cost you to go to work each year, each week, each day? Is it worth it?